it's Melissa from Kiwi Banana, and today I want to talk to you about whether you can be vegan or eat plant-based living, staying, visiting, whatever you like to call it, passing through Jamaica. Short answer is yes. I'm in the region of Portland. I'm in a little countryside town and I'm not too far away from Port Antonio. So let's get into this video. So fruit and vegetables, they can be bought quite easily from markets or food stalls. And before I go any further, I should mention that these are the sort of things that I've found staying in the area that I am in, and I know that the area that I am in is reasonably rural, so I would assume that if it's quite easy for me to be able to find these things, or I've had experiences here, that there would probably be similar experiences in other areas of the country. However, I cannot guarantee that. Alright, so the fruits and veggies, they're quite cheap, it's easy to find. You'll quite often get a lot of seasonal things, so what is in season. You may get some exports, but a lot of it is fresh, sort of local ingredients. They might come from the other side of the island, or they might even come from within the area that you're staying in. So that's good. So if you want to eat that sort of local, now you can get, I guess, sort of organic fruits and vegetables, but you might have to hunt around to see whether they would be certified or not. Or you to talk to the grower about whether they are or not. I don't think it's something that a lot of people will pay for to get certified here. I also know that a lot of the fruits and vegetables here are non-GMO as well, so if you're trying to avoid those, or you want the sort of non-GMO foods, then yeah, you probably can find them in Jamaica. Now, if you go into the supermarket, you may find some fruits and vegetables there as well, of course, and if you're more into the sort of junk food side of the vegan eating, the plant-based eating, then you may also find some accidental vegan junk food. Now, when I say accidental vegan junk food, I mean food that doesn't contain any animals or their secretions. However, they may still have the label on there that may contain, milk or eggs or something like that. So that's what I mean by accidental vegan food. I haven't seen anything that's been labelled as vegan. However, I'm sure if you visited some of the much bigger populated places, maybe like Kingston or Montego Bay, or some really touristy areas, they might have food that they label as, vegan. Now, eating out, I guess I would put those into two categories. So one being more like the local sort of Jamaican food. It's normally, it's business run by a Jamaican, cooked for mostly Jamaican people. And then the other one would be more of the touristy side. So it might not necessarily be run by Jamaican people, and they may not necessarily be only serving to Jamaican people. So what I've found at a lot of the sort of Jamaican run businesses that cook food mostly for Jamaicans actually been really good. A lot of what they do, I found that they normally have a vegetable option, and they'll normally have a rice and beans or peas option, and they tend to cook those foods separate to the the animal based foods, and that can be usually quite cheap actually. The vegetables and the rice with the beans or the peas is normally very cheap. I've been able to get it for around about 300 Jamaican dollars, which is about $3.40 New Zealand. I'm not sure what that is in US, but it's reasonably cheap. I probably couldn't get a meal like that for that cheap going out somewhere in New Zealand, even at some of the really cheap vegan places that I've been to. So I guess with regards to the going out, eating out that are more targeted towards the tourist sort of demographic, you'd probably want to look at the Happy Cow app, and also maybe TripAdvisor. So within where I am, it's maybe about an hour's drive away is the nearest sort of vegan place that's advertised on the Happy Cow app, which I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I will get to visit sometime soon. before we leave, of course, and they do a lot of ITAL food. ITAL food. I'll probably do maybe another video on that in a separate, I'll talk about that topic in another video. But a lot of ITAL food is sort of based on it's definitely plant-based. But I mean, if it's vegan ITAL, then it's going to be 100% plant-based, and it'll be ITAL. So ITAL normally excludes some other sort of things from like salts and preservatives and some other things. Anyway, moving on from that, and the TripAdvisor, I have found a couple of places that are not too far from here, and they normally label themselves as vegan friendly, so they might have a vegan option. Now, even though I've just mentioned all of that, eating out and you'll be able to find a vegan option, it won't normally be on the menu that there is a vegan option, unless you go to a Happy Cow, a place that's been advertised in Happy Cow, then it probably would have the vegan option label. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to ask. I generally say, have you got anything vegetarian that has no fish? Because for some reason here, actually no, there is a reason. It's more to do with the Rastafarian culture and ITAL food, but I'll talk about that another day. They tend to think that fish is not an animal. Well, if you're vegetarian, you still eat fish. And I just ask for no dairy and no eggs, and make sure that there's, it's like no fish sauce and no other sort of animal products. And they sort of get the idea, and it's normally pretty good. So haven't been many places that I've gone to where I've asked if they can make a vegetarian option with none of those other things in it. It's only like once that they've said, oh no, we don't have anything like that. So also a national dish, national sort of cuisine of Jamaica is a thing they call jerk, which is what we would call in New Zealand like a barbecue, sort of like that thing behind me. But it's what really makes it jerk is the seasoning that they put on it, and it's normally animals that are made with jerk. I have not found any vegan jerk while I've been here. However, I'm sure there probably would be a business or two, maybe in Jamaica, possibly in the bigger cities. Maybe there's a lot more maybe tourists, or it might be more of a vegetarian sort of friendly community. You might even find you could get vegetables that are being jerked. Yeah, I really don't like the sound of jerked, but that's the term that they use here. So you may be able to, but I have not found it yet. Although in saying that, I probably could also use that barbecue behind me, and maybe try doing that with some of the vegetables here, or even some things like the plantains would probably be not too bad as well. So yeah, moving on from that, just wanted to quickly touch on the Rustic culture. So that's kind of like, Rasta being Rastafarian, which is kind of like a religion. I'm not going to go too much in depth about that, but they tend, not always, but they tend to eat vegetarian and fish. Sometimes they don't eat dairy and eggs, but they still tend to sometimes eat a little bit of fish. And with that influencing a bit of the culture, even though it's not a huge percentage of the population that identifies as Rasta, it's still something that I think even a lot of people who are not even from Jamaica sort of know of, are aware of. The sort of the colours that they wear, and they what they sort of like look like, and they're a lot. I guess we might classify them as a little bit sitting close with sort of hippie, because they're a bit more about the environment, and I'm not going to go too far into it, but yeah, so because of that influence, it does influence some of the culture, and it does mean that a lot of the food outlets do offer, sort of an option, if you ask for it. So that obviously is a good influence, and if you're wanting to eat plant-based, even if you're not vegan, and you're wanting to eat a lot of like whole foods, with the way that they eat, they tend to eat a lot of whole foods, so that can also suit your dietary preferences within that plant-based, spectrum. You can eat plant-based, and there's lots of different plants that you can eat. You can eat highly processed plants, or you can eat more of the whole food plants. And if you're at the more whole foods end, then you'll be able to find plenty of options here. And there was something else. Oh yes. Now, if you are vegan, or you're wanting to be more vegan, if you're not quite there, or you really care about animals, then of course living and staying in Jamaica, and especially being in a rural area, you will be surrounded by animals. I'm next to a farm just over there, and that has a lot of cows in it. There's quite often chickens visit around this property. You'll see goats roaming around. You'll see things on the menu like curried goat, cow foot, cow's head. You will see those sort of things. You know, I guess if you eat animals and you think that, you know, eating goats or eating a cow's head or whatever is cruel or inhumane or something, then maybe you might want to be looking at your values and where you sit along with that. Some may almost say it's a little bit hypocritical, you know, to say it's okay to eat this animal but not eat this animal, and you know, it's okay to eat this part of an animal but not to eat these parts of an animal. But yeah, maybe that's something you want to think about with yourself. So yeah, you will see that in your face sometimes. I haven't seen any animals being killed, although I know that you know, a lot of local people around here, if they want to eat an animal and they keep that animal on their property, they will normally sort of just kill it in their backyard. So there's something that you may want to be aware of. There's a number of stray dogs and that around here too. But yeah, so that is basically, you know, can you be vegan or can you eat plant-based while being in Jamaica? Yes, you can. And I hope some of these things that I've given you, with, you know, some of this information, will be of some sort of help. If you live in Jamaica or you've stayed in Jamaica before and you've got any tips or recommendations, then please leave that in the comment section down below. If you're thinking about going to Jamaica, you're more than welcome to leave any questions or any information that you've uncovered in the comment section down below, and I'll see you in the next video. I hope you've done something that makes you happy today.